Hey guys, my name is Ben and this is my wife Taylor, and we are family ministry leaders and youth leaders at Flood City Church of God in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. We just wanted to talk to you today about having confidence in conflict.
So where we got this topic from was actually my old youth pastor who lives in Missouri now, and she's had a huge impact on my life. She actually shared something on Sunday on Facebook about Isaiah chapter 43, and it has been something that has been on my mind ever since I heard her read it, and I read it myself, and so we just wanted to share that with you guys today. So Ben's going to actually read that passage for us now.
Alright, it's verse 2 and 3. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze, for I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior.
So something that stuck out to me about this passage, and even was mentioned by my old youth pastor, was the word when. And it sounds like a really simple word, and maybe some people may not really understand it, but in terms of conflict, it can sometimes seem like it's never ending, and sometimes those valleys can seem like they go on forever and ever and ever. But this verse, I love the word when, because I know when I'm in times of conflict or when I am faced with something so difficult, I just always think, what if I don't get out of this? What if this happens? What if that happens? But here God is declaring over us that when we get out of it. So he is telling us immediately in this passage that it's not a what if you get out of it, because if we have the confidence in God, it's going to be a when we get out of it. So I believe that we, as followers of Christ, it's so important for us to be able to display the same kind of confidence that God is showing here in us. We need to be confident that God is not a what if God, and we should know that he's not a what if God. We need to be confident that he's a when God. And so I believe that it's important for us to make the declaration over ourselves, but as believers also, I think it's so important for us to make the same declaration over others, even maybe if they're not believers, if they're going through a tough time, because I have had friends before that may not have been believers, but they came to me for specific issues that they were having. And so you as a believer should be confident for them also and say, listen, it's not a what if, it's when. And this is a great time for us to minister to people who may not be believers, and just be there, and instead of saying what if and feeding into them when they're talking like that, just say, no, this is the God that I serve, and this is the God that you should serve too, and he loves you so much, and he's a when God, not a what if God. We also believe that in times of conflict, this is when Satan really, really gets a hold on us and our minds, and he can fill our heads with lies about different things. He can fill our head with lies about ourselves, about others. He can even make conflict worse sometimes, because he's putting all these different scenarios that may not have even happened in our head. I know sometimes if I'm in a fight, even with Ben, I'm like, well, what if this happened? Or if this would have happened, if he would have said this, and it just makes the scenario even worse. And as a believer and looking back, I know that is Satan trying to get into my head. And so just be confident, and when you feel those different scenarios, just say, no, I serve a when God, and this isn't the scenario, this is just getting worse, and that we just need to tell Satan, not today, like this is not how things are going to go. And so we actually had a situation a couple weeks ago where we were forced to be confident in God. Not that we aren't always, but we were put in a scenario where Satan could have easily crept in and made things a lot worse. And so Ben, you can share that testimony.
Yeah, so about a month ago, I had a job where they kept cutting our hours, so obviously our paychecks were dwindling, but we just kept confidence that God would provide a new job. You know, we took the steps to applying the jobs, but we had confidence that he would provide me a new one. And he did rather quickly, in like a day. I applied one night and they called the next morning. But yeah, we just had confidence that we would get through that conflict in our lives, and we did. Came out pretty stronger and easy, actually.
Yeah, something that we also remembered, and it's another verse that I've loved for a really, really long time, and it's Romans 8:28 and it says that, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. And so he's never going to leave us stranded. He's never going to leave us hanging. He always has a plan. Nothing that he has for us is unknown. He knows when we're having conflict. He knows when different things are happening in our lives. He knows how we may respond. But the good thing about being a believer, and even if you're in conflict with someone who is not, is that you can display the same exact love that God shows us in that conflict. So don't try to go through conflict without him. I've tried to do this so many times. I'm a control freak. I like things to go the exact way that I want them to go. I like to schedule. I like when people think the way I like to think, which can cause a lot of conflict, so don't do that. But a verse that I carry with me all the time, and it's actually hanging in our kitchen, and it's Psalm 46:10, and it says, "Be still and know that I am God." And so this gives me a lot of peace, because I sometimes need to remember that he is God and I'm not. And so this is just a verse that I think that you should remember too, especially in terms of conflict, that people may not respond the way we want them to respond. And sometimes it may seem like the conflict is dragging on forever and ever, but he's God. He knows when the end of it is going to come. He knows the response. He knows the outcome, because I know there's been times with conflict and the outcome is a lot better than I expected it to be. And looking back now, I can see the hand of God throughout the entire thing. And if I would have tried to control it, and if I would have had things go the way I wanted them to go, it would have been a lot different. So I just encourage you guys to just be still, be confident, and know that he's not a what if God, he's a when God. So you want to finish that?
Yeah. So yeah, with all that, we just want to encourage you this week just to remain confident in everything you're going through, especially in this weird time. And just know that you're a child of God and that you were chosen by God. So he has your back through everything, and just stay confident and, stay sane. And we just want to let you know that we're praying for you, and we hope you're all doing well. And that's it. Thanks, guys.